The Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is directed to the Minister for Ageing, Minister for Disability Services and Minister for Multiculturalism. We haven't forgotten you.
Thank you.
What is the government's response to community concerns that after the transition of disability services to the non-government sector, it will be possible for a non-government service provider to refuse service to a person with a disability who is currently a client of AJAKA, Ageing, Disability and Home Care New South Wales, on the basis that their needs are too high or too complex?
Mr President, I thank the honourable member for a question, and it is a very good question. Mr President, what must be remembered first and foremost with the NDIS is that people with disability
Order, please.
will have choice and control to choose the providers they want, the services they want, when and where they need those services. So, Mr President, it's the client who's in charge, not the service provider, the client. The client gets to make the decision. And, Mr President, we're not talking about one service provider out there. We're not talking about one non-government service provider out there. We are talking about numerous service providers competing for those clients and ensuring that the way they secure the clients is by offering the best possible services to those clients. That is what the NDIS delivers. It delivers choice and control, and it ensures at the same time that the market offers the best possible services to people with disability. Because what happens if you don't offer the appropriate service, the right service? Very simple, Mr President. The clients don't go to you. The clients find other providers that they go to. Mr President, what is clear, what this government is doing, is that we also have an obligation as the government to ensure that service providers have the capacity to meet the extra demand that is occurring as a result of the NDIS. And it's for this reason that we are working with the non-government sector and have been over the last 2 years and continue to work with them to build their capacity. There are numerous service providers out there, non-government service providers, who offer the best care for high-needs clients. They exist. They have always existed. They continue to exist, and they do a wonderful job. It's sad when I hear some, Mr President, argue that only the government can offer services to high-needs clients. That's sad. That is so sad.
No, we're not saying that.
I know the interjection. I didn't say you're saying that. I said there are some who are saying that. It's interesting that you interjected and said that you're not saying that. I said there are some who are saying that. And it's sad because it's an absolute slap in the face, Mr President, of those wonderful non-government organisations who do an incredible job for high-needs clients and do it each and every day and continue. But as I said, we still have an obligation as the government, and I accept that we will continue to work with the non-government organisations to build their capacity. Mr President, we need them to build their capacity. Funding will double from over $2 billion, over $3 billion to over $6.4 billion. An extra 50 to 60,000 people with disability will be receiving funding for the first time. A huge demand is being created, and for that reason we will continue to work with the non-government sector. We continue to provide funding and assistance to the non-government sector to build their capacity to look after all clients with disability, not just clients with high needs. All clients.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary. The Leader of the Opposition on a supplementary question.
Mr President, I asked the Minister, based on the answer he's just given, whether he could elucidate his answer with regard to whether there is any basis upon or any grounds upon which the service providers that he has referred to in his answer can refuse service to their clients once the transition occurs.
Mr. President, I cannot imagine a situation of a non-government service provider when one looks at all of those non-government service providers that are out there, working day and night, helping, assisting people with disabilities. Can you imagine a provider simply saying, I refuse to assist you?
Yes, we do actually.
No.
That it's too complex or too expensive.
What many service providers do, Mr. President, what many service providers do is they work collectively with other service providers. Some service providers only provide a specific service. They work in alliances with, they work in synergy with other service providers where they assist the client to receive the best possible service. And this is what happens each and every day. And when we talk about building capacity, this is what's occurring. Mr. President, if you take the Illawarra, the Illawarra Disability Alliance, non-government service providers having come together to work as an alliance to be able to offer different services to clients. And that's what they do. They started off with about seven service providers. When I officially launched the alliance, when I was Minister for the Illawarra, they had 13 separate service providers. I believe they're currently at 16 or 17 working together. Other areas of the state are following that model. Again, we encourage them, we will assist them, and we will continue helping them to build their capacity. That is what's occurring.